there is free will, but the idea of not taking choices is calming, so people choose to believe there is no free will. Hey Melise, thanks for that comment. I actually, on the human level, don't believe either that there's free will or not free will. I will say that there is no free will if I'm asked, but it's kind of irrelevant. Like really there is this looking, and then happening happens, and whose will it is irrelevant. It's a happening. The teaching of free will is really important though, because most people are identified with the assumption that they are the doer. So like I don't believe that I'm not the doer, I don't believe that I am the doer. So the identification that you are the doer is a suffering. It's a belief in a thought structure. It's belief in this society's thought structure, and no words can be truth. Words are simply words. However, we do have the appearance of free will. So it appears that a thought happens in the head, like I'm going to pick up my drink, and then that happens. And that's a human functioning, and I would say that that functioning appears in order to update this machine to make the best possible choice possible. The best possible choice possible. Best possible choice there is. And I would also say that the idea of there not being a choice, people do use that idea as a self-protection and a way to relax. So like in childhood, there needs to be the defining of the personality, and the personality is fundamentally made up of choosing and the way that you interact with people and the choices that you make in that interaction. So you choose to play with your friend, the way you choose to speak to them. So all these like tiny choices kind of make up the fabric of being a person in the human world. And often people are traumatized in making choices by their parents. I'll give you an example. So Johnny decides that he wants a cookie. So he goes and asks his mom, can he have a cookie? His mum is stressed out and really pissed. So she screams at Johnny and is like, how dare you ask for another cookie? You've already asked for 6 cookies today. You know, what is wrong with you? Like, and she has a go at him. She doesn't want to have a go at him, but she loses her temper. Like with him, he's maybe kept asking and then he sneaked a few cookies. So she loses her temper and shouts at him. And maybe this happens on a repetitive basis with many things. What will happen to Johnny is that he will begin to suppress his wants and maybe suppress them to the point where he doesn't really know what they are. And it could be that if he keeps having this interaction with his mum, that when he gets older, he struggles to make choices. So the ideal way to deal with that, or the better way to deal with that, is for the mother to discuss it with him. So the mother to say, I really understand you want another cookie. I would like another cookie because they're so tasty. However, and gives the reasons. How about we have a cookie at this time? And then Johnny agrees to it. I mean, maybe he doesn't, maybe he has a tantrum, but you have to sit with him through the tantrum. That, what it does is it helps him to be confident in his choices. And it helps him to define what it is that he wants. People can also play passive-aggressive games with their kids where they don't really notice they're doing it. Like he begins to ask for something and then the mum withdraws love silently. Like because she's angry or fed up or exhausted, or the dad, whoever's the main caregiver. There's an element of sexist coming up in Lisa. And so then he begins to suppress it and becomes to be confused by choice making. So ideally what the parent wants to do is encouraging him to make his own choices, not always giving him what he wants, but encouraging him to make his own choices and be able to express how he feels as well. You know, so you could also have a conversation. How do you feel not having a cookie? I feel sad. And that's okay. That's what's happening in him. Yeah. So then often when you've had this trauma in childhood, choice then become very stressful for the adult, because they can't get in contact with what it is they want, and they don't trust their choices. They believe that if they choose, you know, the mother or the father will withdraw love and something terrible will happen. So then this teaching can, you know, attract people that struggle choosing, or when you have that dysfunction, it can go to like hyper choosing, like becoming really dominant in their choices, which is equally unbalanced. And then this teaching can relax something. And that's great, as long as it's not an avoidance, like as long as you're conscious of what's happening. So it's okay to relax a neurosis, but you're conscious of the neurosis itself, and that you're using that teaching to relax the neurosis. The reason that the free will is taught in non-duality is because there is meant to be this breaking of this belief of this person, that you are this separate identified person, and it's this going back to something that is beyond choice, is beyond good and bad. It's not about living in these concepts and that becoming a new dogma or that becoming a new belief system, like I have no choice and then going to war for it. It's seeing these lies that you tell yourself, and that nothing is true in our words. Words are something that we made up. They're not our truth, because you and I are also something that is made up in words. They are not your truth, but the choice is like the fundamental identity. It's like you're so convinced that you are the chooser and that you are the doer and that you're somebody that belongs inside this body. And that is not true. Life is happening. It is happening.